All right. So I thought maybe Kenny might get on today, but it's
Well,
not.
Kenny might very well might get on, but right now he is at the Westgate and he's probably down in the showroom preparing what his show would be it's not tonight, it's tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't know if he goes to work the night before. That's kind of like a Vegas, people don't
Well,
do
he
that.
likes to go into the showroom and test it out, make sure everything is the way he's remembered it being from the last time he was there.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's what he does. And I'm meeting him for dinner tonight, which is really cool. I love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Very
Anyway,
cool.
welcome everybody. This is our 164th meeting of the, well, it used to be called the Roundtable. Now it's a current event show. We talk about whatever's going on in the world and how it affects us in a very lighthearted manner. So I hope you get a few laughs. Just remember, everything you hear today is an opinion. I'm your host, Jan Landy. Thanks to Soundbroker for supporting my efforts and everything else I've done in my life for the last 26 years. Thank you, Soundbroker.
Pretty good, 'cause I heard the owner of Soundbroker is tough to deal with.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm telling you, if we don't like you, yeah, absolutely. I've heard the word asshole expressed many a time, but that's okay. Hey, listen, you can't please everybody all the time. You just have to please the people that mean something to you, or you have to please yourself, one or the other. That's about it. So anyway, today we're going to talk about a bunch of things. Oh, you got them.
Yeah, that's
Very
the first
good.
step. That's the 90. That's the ones that are $125. I haven't gotten the one that's $180 yet.
What is
How many
it?
have you bought?
Remember,
I got to shut that off because otherwise I'll get a violation here on YouTube. Can't be any music on this thing, so whatever.
Well, you have the ability to mute.
Yeah, but
I don't, else I would have muted him quick.
Okay, well, I'm actually got something else on my screen right now.
Oh.
Other than the Zoom meeting. Now it's on the Zoom meeting because I was looking at the notes. Anyway,
okay.
Covered everything that I want to say. Just remember, as I always say, what do I always say? I don't care about everybody the way I care about you. That's it. So you. I care about you. So could you believe those people in Colombia, that airplane that crashes and these 4 kids stayed alive for like 40 days and 40 nights?
That was crazy.
I wonder what ever happened to them. I'd like to follow up with those people and see how the kids are. Sam, did they call you?
No, but their mom died.
No way. No, she died in the Amazon. But it would be cool. I mean, if they were raised like by monkeys or baboons or gorillas,
well, They were indigenous. They're an indigenous type of background. So
I mean, what did they eat for 40 days? How did
they were hoping that since they knew about the fruits and rainforests, they were hoping that the kids' jungle survivals would give them a better chance.
It could be, what's that song, Hungry Like the Wolf? They must have been hungry like the wolf, that's for sure. Anyway, the other thing, I'm here in Las Vegas right now, and my family is in Thailand. I've been here a little more than a month right now. And I was just reading an article in the Guardians, basically that birds get divorced due to promiscuity after long spells apart. And they say that human beings, the same thing happens. If you're away from somebody for a long period of time, instead of making absence the heart grows fonder, absence too long could make the heart grow weaker, and you move on. And I wouldn't want that to happen. So I got to get back home. Anybody have any well, David had long distance experiences because in the beginning of his career, he was always on the road, moving around. A lot of guys on the road right now. So anyway, if you're on the road, stay in touch with your loved ones. So you have them, because relationships and distances it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. Sam, were you ever on the road?
With David a couple of times and with Charo on cruises, but nothing more than that. I got stopped by because I had a wrong passport. So, it was a long story.
A long story of immigration is always a horrible story.
Oh,
I would have to say immigration in our country is broken, and this is not my opinion. This is a fact. I don't care if you think it's not or not, but I believe it's a fact that immigration is broken. Otherwise, Bo would be here right now, and I'd be in Las Vegas. We would be enjoying this heat. I actually love the dry heat. It's being in Thailand, it's all humid, hot, and really humid. Super humid, like 94%, 95%. I mean, it's almost like it's raining. But I don't really like that as much as I like the dry heat. And it really is a big difference between dry heat and wet heat. And the interesting thing is I went from really, really wet high heat to really dry high heat. And I could tell you the changes in your body, basically all of a sudden your skin dries up so quickly here in Vegas, and you have to moisturize otherwise. And that's a tip, moisturize, always good for you. So Sam, you would know that because you live in Arizona.
And I was born in Egypt. So that's even further dry.
Well,
but Arizona
it's a little further east. Yes, you're right.
It hit 120 this past week.
Wow. Well, they're saying it's going to hit record highs. This is going to be the hottest record. The hottest record. This is going to be the hottest year on record ever.
In the world.
Yeah, in the world, based on, keeping records. Now, some people say, well, in the beginning of creation, it was a lot hotter when all the molten lava was, but nobody here on this planet was here in those days. So there's no way to tell. That is truly an opinion, Anyway, speaking of hot, the Powerball prize is going to be $725 million. So if you're in a place where you can buy the Powerball, I wish you all the luck in the world, because it would be hot if you won $725 million. Then for the first time in your life, you wouldn't feel poor. I mean, can you imagine winning $725 million and then feeling poor? I think that's I wonder what your opinion on that is. I don't believe that would be a possibility.
I would share it with all my friends.
That's right. You'd have to change your phone number immediately. You would be getting calls from people. I got a text message from somebody I haven't seen in 15 years easily, and they called me up asking for money. Actually, they didn't call. They text messaged me for money. So I don't even know if it's the person that from 15 years ago or whether it was somebody who scammed their email address and said, send me money. Either way, I blocked them.
Good move.
The thing that's in the news these days is the Alzheimer cure. It seems that they have a cure right now. It's known as the Leqembi, and it's received accelerated approval. And basically, it really will slow down the spread of Alzheimer's. And that is an amazing achievement for modern medical science. That to think that Alzheimer's could be cured or at least prevented in our lifetime. That would be pretty impressive. The old joke, of course, is, the doctor losing the records and not sure whether the spouse had Alzheimer's or AIDS. And so, he called up the spouse and said, hey, whatever you do, if they come home, don't have sex. All right, that's it. So there's my joke for the day. If it was a joke. Hey, did you hear about the spaceport? They're actually putting in a spaceport now in Las Vegas. So if you want to go out into space, there is going to be a spaceport here in Las Vegas that's going to be you're going to be able to catch a plane or a jet or whatever, the spacecraft that will take you out into orbit. Did anybody hear about that? Or is that something I'm just making up?
Oh.
Well, it's a good opinion. Check it out. No, really, seriously, it's going to be at the west of the city. And
it's going to be about 15-minute drive from Pahrump.
Yep. And anyway, it's going to, and Elon Musk came out and said that he wants to travel to another planet. So he might be the first one on our planet to leave the planet to go to points unknown in space.
Mm. Interesting.
And I would say he has good reason to, because right now, Facebook, that new Threads is really starting to cut into Twitter really, really bad. I mean, I hear that they're up to, what are they up to now? I guess it's 90 million people now are on Threads.
Oh, wow.
Has anybody checked it out?
No.
No, I checked it out. It's very similar to Twitter. I can understand why Elon Musk is upset about it and probably going to sue Facebook. But the reality is that it must be hard for them unless he could prove they had some insiders building the website. If they didn't have the insiders building the website, then how can it possibly be an infringement on copyright? So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
absolutely see.
Okay.
Well, when David comes back, I have another story I want to talk about, which basically has to do with hearing. And David is now playing with his new bone transmitters. Do you have your bone transmitter? Are you wearing them now?
Oh, here they are right here. I haven't opened the box yet because this is the lesser model. I'm going to wait till I get the better model and open that because this is the one I'm probably going to sell.
Now, tell me, how did you come about that?
Okay. There's an engineer that we all know called Dan Casting, another one of the great, long time, been everywhere, done everything.
An A1 alumni.
And an A1 alumni, worked with all sorts of gobs of people. And he's going to replace me on Hotel California for the dates I can't do.
Oh.
So he came to see the show. And we happen to be doing 2 shows in Indiana, and he lives in Indianapolis. It was a 2-hour drive. He came to see the show. He spent the night in the hotel with me, and then he saw the show the next day and then drove home. So he just whips these things out and starts listening to them. I said, what the hell is that? Because it's not in your ear. It's on your temple.
Right,
And
they're
he-
bone conducting, that's why.
Right.
If
And
they
he
wouldn't
told
hear
me, and
them,
I
we go in the ear.
wow, if the ears are, unimpeded, I want to know if these work or not. And I put them on and they sounded great. And then I went and looked them up, and like you did, they have 5,000 great reviews. So I bought a set on Prime Day because the price was a third off. And then I realized that the better model was also on sale. So I bought them too. And now I have this model, which is still sealed, that I'll be able to sell. And since I got it for only 2/3 of the price, I should be able to sell it in a snap. And that's
Well,
that.
That's very good. That's very, very good. Well, you're an expert with eBay, so I'm sure it'll get done.
Sure. So sound
Now-
gonna make,
What does it do?
they put the sound into your temples.
Uh-huh.
And, normally you'd say, okay, where's the high end? But these have high end. These sound really good. I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't have bought them if I hadn't heard them.
Well,
But-
if they go in your temple, that's kind of a religious experience, right?
Right. On Saturdays. You can only wear them on.
Well, the Buddhists have temples too. We go to temple all the time over there.
And you can do it every day if you're a Buddhist.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so this is pretty interesting. I mean, the whole concept of having it here and then over your ear and around the back of your head.
And that way you could hear everything that's around you. And
So-
I from the reviews I read, it's really comfortable because they're supposed to be worn all day long.
Well, I'm sitting at the airport this last week and I'm listening on my phone and saying, I can't hear the announcements. And that's a big deal in the airport when they announce a gate change and you don't know it. So that's the reason, really the reason I got it was for when I'm traveling.
Yep. Well, that's a good idea. You know what? I just heard that noise. Okay, so now there's an article in the New York Times basically about health and noise. And they say that noise is related directly to stress detention in your brain. The almagata part of your brain And if you have too much noise, it can actually give you depression and give you stress. What do you think of that?
That makes sense.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm. So anyway, listen, I know this is unusual and I've never done this before, but I have to do this now. I got to let you guys talk amongst yourself for a minute and I'll be right back. In the meantime,
Okay.
listen to this.
A bio break. Okay, we got it. You don't
Hey,
have
David,
to.
that recorder, mini recorder, you said you have one?
No, I have one in my car, and I had told you which one I had. And
Right.
it's on my windshield.
But the
True.
one that I sent you, I asked you for your recommendation.
No, what are you going to do with it? I mean, it doesn't transmit to anything. It's got a life battery that's not that great. You have to take the card out and stick it in somewhere to get the video out of it. It's just too much trouble. It's not worth it. I mean, it's fun. It's a party favor, you know. I'm recording you while you don't know it. But then how do you watch it? You got to go do a whole bunch of stuff. So no, not for me.
Okay.
But what do you need? What's your thing?
Just when I'm driving, record in case there's a mishap.
You could use it for that, or you could get the real deal.
I just don't want to put the cords all over the top and the side of the car. I
Don't they
wanna
have
get
battery
the
operated
information.
ones?
Well, they do. The whole point is that if you're going to be using it for driving, you don't want to keep changing the battery.
Yeah, these cameras are very prevalent in Thailand, where I am. As a matter of fact, the cars in Thailand, they all have USB-A ports in the back of the mirror.
That's brilliant. That's what I wish I had. Because I know that
Thailand.
Right there.
the mirrors all have power. I was going to make an adapt mine so I could get the power out of the mirror. I just have to drill a hole for it.
Well, I did that. I took it to one of the alarm companies that put in car alarms, and I asked them to put in. I asked them to put in. At that point in time, I was using a radar detector, and I didn't want the cables all over the place. So they can actually go in, and they do a really good. If you go to the right place, they do a really, really, really good job, and you can't even tell it's not factory installed, which is great.
Yeah. And there you go, Sam. That's how you make it work.
Yep, I'm gonna try that.
I have one in my car. I don't have one in Myrna's car, but I drive more aggressively, so I want to make sure I have a camera running all the time, and it has front and rear. It's two files at the same time.
Yeah, those are the better ones that, because it operates even when you're not in the car. If the car is parked.
If I want it, right? I don't have it. I don't have that set. That's the battery part, and my battery turns off when the car turns off.
Yeah, well, that's in case, when you park the car, somebody bangs into your car, you can record it. Not that it's going to do you any good, because I can't imagine how it's going to shoot down and get the license plate of another car, or if somebody comes up and bangs on your window, who knows?
Yeah, that's why
You buy a Tesla for that.
Yeah, I heard Tesla has sensors all around.
cameras all around.
Yeah.
Got cameras at knee level, front, back, sides, all over the place.
Well, I've only been in a Tesla once, I think. But it was a long time. Actually, I know I was. It was a long time ago. Funny, none of my friends seem to be driving Teslas, or if they are, they don't want to give me a ride. Like, what can I say? And there's very few of them in Thailand right now. It's brand new. The Tesla is brand new over there.
The amazing thing about the Tesla is you never have to really use the brake. The minute you let off the pedal, it slows down. It just almost stops. It's a very unusual feeling.
Right.
Well, that's because it's an electric car, and when you put on the gas pedal, it accelerates the engines or the motors, the electric motors that are on all four wheels. If I remember correctly, that's how it works. Correct?
But when you slow down, it regenerates back into the battery. So that's work also, and that work slows down the car because there's magnetic friction.
That's how my BMW i3 worked. That when you stop, so it's the same technology as I guess the Tesla thing, but maybe the Tesla is a little bit better.
I mean, a motor when the motor turns through electricity, it's mechanical energy. When you turn it mechanically, it generates back the other way. It's a one way or the other. It's just making electricity.
Yeah. Well, now, not only that, now Volkswagen just came out with a bus, you
Yeah.
know, and they've modeled the old hippie bus for this. It actually looks a lot cooler than the old hippie bus, but basically they're going to start doing these self-driving, autonomous driving technology cars in Austin, Texas. And that's going to start really soon. It plans to do this in 2026. CNN is reporting that it's going to happen by 2026. You know,
Wow. Good. Good for Volkswagen.
yep, they're very, very nice of it. Very, very nice of them to do that. You know, I wish they would work on getting the water systems a little bit better in the United States as well, if they could perfect the battery in a car, because basically they're saying now that basically 45% of all the US drinking water is contaminated with PFAS or forever chemicals, according to a new study by the US Geological Society. And they say you should put a carbon filter on your water tap if you can. And but you know, I think here in Las Vegas, they super monitor the water. As a matter of fact, all of the water gets recycled. So they put them through recycling plants all the time. They recapture all of the water. So anything that goes down the drain gets recaptured, recycled, purified, and then sent back, which is a frightening thought.
Well, you know, the phrase that people who want to make you not want to do that, they say toilet to tap. And, you know, it doesn't sound great, but we both know that they do it right. You know, it's filtered, cleaned out water, so it's not a problem. But if you want to push people's buttons, you use toilet to tap.
Ugh, disgusting. Disgusting. That's what I like. You know.
Somebody came up with it. It works.
Anyway, what else is going on? JetBlue. If you're flying in New York, JetBlue just dropped out of the Northeast Alliance with American Airlines. They're no longer going to, I think that they're no longer going to be sharing revenue and scheduling. So
I think that's because they bought another airline, like Sun Airlines or one of those. And
well, I think what happened is the federal government, the court seems to feel like it was anti-competitive. And so that they decided not to fight it. And they decided to, you know, just not merge.
yeah, whatever the other airline is they bought is the reason that they got rid of American.
Spirit.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, everything is merging. Everything is, you know, it's, you know, the choices that we have are getting limited all the time. I mean, at one point there were, you know, how many different car companies? You know, I mean, if, you know, Buick was a car company, Oldsmobile was a car company, Chevrolet was a car company. Now, they're all owned by General Motors. They got absorbed and became one. You know, there used to be, what, you know, how many banks were there? Now there are only a few big banks. So everything gets consolidated eventually, you know, and the rich get richer and the poor have children. That's what it comes down to. That's about it.
Well, a lot of this happened when the global markets opened up. Like a single company in the US competing against foreign nationals who get government support, it got to be where they couldn't compete. So they started consolidating. So a lot of that is just because of the world markets.
I think they bought Frontier Airlines, if I recall correctly.
Well, Tina, you can Google it for us. And,
No, JetBlue bought Spirit.
Spirit, it's Spirit. I knew it began with an S.
Spirit? Yes.
Well, JetBlue now is with Spirit, whereas American Airlines is with Frontier.
Is that it? Okay.
They must all intertwine somehow.
I wonder who got the better of their deal. Anyway, I'm sure we didn't as the people. We definitely didn't get the better of the deal. But, you know, speaking of globalness, you know, right now, if you fly outside the United States now, they have these CT scanners at most airports outside of the United States. The United States is still behind, but basically now when you travel and you're not coming into the United States, you can bring your shampoo again. You can bring bottles of water. You could do all that stuff as long as you're not going to the United States, because now they have machines in these other airports that will scan for heavier density liquids, whereas in the United States we're still years away, from these CT scans. The TSA is spending more than $1 billion to procure these advanced scanners, but we're still a ways away before you could do it. I can't tell you how much I miss the days where you would be able to get to the airport, minutes before your flight and not have to worry about going through TSA, or another thing that I really miss is how you could meet someone at the gate. When their plane arrived, you could meet them at the gate, that's that. I miss that. And that I don't believe will ever happen again.
I think you're right.
And that's unfortunate. That really is unfortunate, Oh, well, what can I say? So, Dave, have you ever played with that jukebox, the video jukebox you were telling me about?
Who, me?
Yeah, well, you're the one who told me about the video jukebox from the
How
songs
long?
from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, over 4,500 selections.
Right, that's something I sent you like 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, we needed some material for today's show. I'm running low, and I don't want to talk about politics.
Matter of fact, I have. The video jukebox was really fun. I don't know where it is though to put it in the chat, so I can't help you there.
Oh, if Tina got the link.
It's very, very good. I use it often.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. There's a bunch of those, like what was on your birthday? What were the top 10 songs? That kind of stuff. Of course, I mean, when you're born, you don't know anything, so none of those songs meant anything to me. But
Well, speak for yourself. I was very smart when I was born, and I was talking very quickly as a child.
came out with a joke, right?
Anyway,
It's showtime.
yeah, that's it. Yada 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 da 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 da.
Hey, Jan.
Yes.
Did you see what happened at Caesar's Palace yesterday?
No, what happened in Caesar's Palace?
Oh my gosh, there was a huge standoff yesterday. This guy, he actually was on a drug rampage, and he kidnapped a lady or held her hostage in the room. And then he started breaking the glass from the tower and throwing the furniture out onto the poolside. Everyone in the poolside was evacuating. Nobody knew what was going on. They started thinking about what happened in October, 5 years ago. It was crazy. It was all morning until I think the police finally got in the room around 3.
Wow.
Did anybody get killed?
No.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful.
And the guy was wanted in another state as well.
Wow, I wonder
He
how
was
he
a
got.
fugitive.
It was a few. How did he get into the hotel room?
They didn't disclose any of those things. That was his hotel room.
Either he rented a room or walked by.
Well, how did the woman get into the hotel room?
He pulled her. They said he held her hostage.
Oh, wow, what a bummer. I mean,
That's what it says. Who knows what the real story is?
That's right. Who knows what the real story is? That's a scary story, though. I mean, there is the story that's going around Thailand right now, something along those lines. This guy, this German businessman, somehow he was doing some shit he shouldn't have been doing, and these other bad guys cut him up into pieces and put him in a refrigerator, and they were.
It sounds like a movie.
Right. And they were moving him in the refrigerator. They didn't want to move him outside of the refrigerator. So wherever they went, they were taking the refrigerator with them. And evidently they got pulled over because they were traveling with this refrigerator, and the police wanted to know what was in the refrigerator, So I don't know. It's a crazy story.
Well, I know that crime and shoplifting in Albuquerque is rampant. People walk in with backpacks and go to the liquor cabinet, empty it out, and just walk out. It's crazy.
And in San Francisco, where it first started, they told their clerks not to stop these people. Just let it happen. which is
Yeah.
crazy. So now when you go into a store, which I've noticed is like all the good stuff is behind plexiglass, and you need to ask for somebody to help you get it.
But in San Francisco, when they started that, and to where it's currently at right now, with how the streets are just littered with homeless and drug use and crime, and all the major luxury stores have moved out or have canceled at their Westfield Mall out there. I believe, in theory, my theory is that being done on purpose, because San Francisco has Billionaire Row there. They have tons of money. Like, literally, they have Billionaire Row with all CEOs of major billion-dollar worth companies live. So my theory is what they did during COVID is that they're letting it happen so that they could sell the property to major companies where they could build headquarters and change the whole facade of that inner shopping district. Because there's no way people would let a major city like San Francisco get that bad. I just don't believe that.
Well, they really let it
California.
get it bad. There are people there. I've heard stories about people crapping in the street, just crapping.
No, that's true. That's all true.
You got to watch out where you step, not for.
But I
dogs,
just don't
but for
believe that they
human
would just
beings.
let that happen. I think it's done on purpose. They have something. There's something behind the scenes that we don't know about. They just want everybody to believe that, but I doubt it. All the millionaires and major companies out there, there's no way that they will let that happen, right? Because as soon as you come off the freeway, the Bay Bridge to that center, it's right there. It's right in the middle of the city. There's just no way. So
One of the things they're saying is that first of all, crime in all the other areas is going down in this country, and robberies and thefts are going up. They're saying it's organized crime. That these
That's
are
what
people.
they're saying. It's organized crime.
I'm telling you, it's organized something, because there's no way that they would let that happen. If it's on purpose, it's being done for some reason. Somebody wants all that property.
Well, they can't stop it because it's organized now. It's groups of people who are centrally commanded to do this stuff.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
see.
eventually they'll figure it out, but they're saying that it is organized crime. I've heard that myself. That the money that they're making from these robberies, for lack of another word, it's really draining the economy of the stores. I mean, it's so far.
Well, they're
like,
already moved out. It's empty.
Yeah.
All the major stores are empty. But what I'm saying is that this is all being done on purpose, because they have Billionaire Row out there right on the other side of the city. It's right there. They have all those major companies right around that circle area. That this is all being done on purpose. It's being done for the land. Just how they took all the land from a lot of the poor people in all the other cities. They're doing the same thing. This is not something. That's why it just doesn't make sense that a city would just let something like that happen. It doesn't even matter if it's organized. They could stop it.
Well, I'm glad that you're saying this, because this is an opinion show, and
It is. That's my
your
opinion.
opinion.
Well, last time David and I were in San Francisco, we ate at the famous restaurant right on the wharf there that has all the food on the outside. And they closed because the homeless or whatever, they would come in and grab whatever, and they couldn't sustain the business anymore. And they closed the restaurant. It was a 40-year-old restaurant. Do you remember the name, David?
Skoma's. It was Skoma's, famous Skoma's restaurant.
Oh my God, Skoma's closed.
His friend's family owned it, and we went to have dinner there one night, which was really nice. And during COVID and the homeless, it's closed, and I was just there. It's just empty, boarded up. The famous.
That's too bad. That's too bad. They had the best sourdough bread I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is too bad. It's Fisherman's Wharf. Prime.
Weren't they famous for their clam chowder there?
Yep.
Yeah, and they served it right on the sidewalk, and you could get fresh crab. It was great.
It's right there, right in the most valuable spot on Fisherman's Wharf is that restaurant, and it's been sitting empty now. It's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. Well, I don't think that's going to happen here in Vegas. that I don't believe that we're going to see that happening in Vegas, especially on the Strip. I would bet my bottom dollar on that. You know,
I would never let that happen.
it's not like the old days where, you know, where when the mob was running the town, where if you did something wrong and the mob wanted to make sure nobody would do it again, they would just leave your body lying on the sidewalk for people to see it, you know. And then, you know, but then I think that then after a while they'd pick it up and move it to the desert, and, you know, or give them concrete shoes and throw them into the Lake Mead at the time, you know, when it was full. Now it's not so full, but I hear they're finding things
But they
all
only
the time.
what, 4 bodies, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, well, 4, but who's counting? That's right. You know, but speaking of foods and different, you know, did you hear this? That Subway is now changing their mode of operandi, and now they're going to be slicing the meats in front of you instead of having it already sliced up and ready to go. When you order a sandwich, they're going to go to a slicer, and they're going to start making gourmet type sandwiches for you.
You know, the originator of Subway went to the University of Bridgeport with David and I.
Did? I don't know that.
Yeah, look it up.
The
Oh,
reason Subway's doing that is because they want Jimmy John's does that, so they want to keep up with Jimmy John's. That's why.
Very possible. The slices are going to be $6,000 a pop.
Yeah, but they got some type here in Wisconsin. The stores in Wisconsin got some type of grant or whatever. I just talked to a buddy of mine that I know he manages a Subway, but they got some type of a grant that they can. It's not going to cost them much, but they're doing it because they want to keep up with Jimmy John's and some of these other sub places that are making everything right in front of you.
That's cool. Now, where are you? Because I look at it and there doesn't even seem to be a building on the side of the road. It's all grass.
I'm traveling right now. I'm on the road right now, traveling. I'm on my way.
Where are you
home.
going?
Back to my house eventually.
And where were you coming from?
A job site.
That's good. You know, if you got pulled over by the police, normally you would think that the police would say, all right, where you going in such a rush? But usually the question they ask you is, where you coming from?
Yeah.
They want to
Well, I know a lot of law enforcement in this area, so I'm not too worried. They know my vehicle quite well. So they see me, they just wave at me, and then they'll text me, hey, slow down, or hey, why were you doing that? So
today, some crazy woman stopped me on the street. I mean, I'm driving in the car, and she's honking the horn next to me. She's next to me, and she's honking her horn, and we're stopped at a stop sign. And I look at it, me, and she goes, yeah. And I roll down my window, and she's got to be, maybe in her late 40s or something like that. She looked like a normal human being, you know, nothing. And she starts yelling at me for driving all over the road and driving in a bus stop, and I said, what the fuck is this woman talking about? You know, I mean, it was like, I know that I was staying in my lane. I couldn't understand it. And, you know, so I just shut my window and she just drove off, you know, and I said, wow, what a nut. And then I started thinking, maybe was I driving erratically, you know?
So while you were talking to her, the people from the bus stop got in your car?
Yeah, exactly. No, well, they brought me a Subway sandwich. You know, that's what I was waiting for, but no, didn't happen. No, I just thought, you know, like the road rage thing is just off the hook. And I couldn't understand why this woman was doing it, because I was watching what I was doing. I wasn't on the phone or anything like that. I was just driving, you know, normal, and I'm in a big car, so I wasn't going very fast. Couldn't figure it out, except she had to be nuts, you know? Anyway. Speaking of which, let's see what else. I have 3 more stories that I thought would be interesting to talk about. Let's just pull one right out of the hat. Banks have been making a fortune off of late fees and $40 per delinquent, incident. Yeah, you guys probably, I know nobody here has experienced this other than me. Those costly fees now, they're going to drop to $8 a year if the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau finalizes a proposed rule that would would curb how much these banks can charge you for fees. And that would be a really good thing if they drop that price down to $8 for people, because a lot of times people don't mean to miss their payments or whatever. They just can't afford to do it at the time. And so it'd be a good idea if they don't make all their money off of fees.
Well,
You
they
know?
forget. People forget also.
Yeah, people forget. You say, well, I'll pay it tomorrow, and then something happens, tomorrow happens, and you forget to do it. It's happened to me. I've done it myself before. I've missed a payment, because of negligence on my behalf, or you miss it by a day because you put it in the mail, and then it gets there a day late because of the post office. Anyway, those fees are now going to go down to $8, which is really, really good. So if you're traveling, if you're going to be traveling out of the United States, they just announced that the U.S. State Department says that passport delays won't be cut now due to pre-pandemic levels until next year. They're saying right now, if you're going to order a new passport, it's going to take between 10 and 13 weeks for routine processing and 7 to 9 weeks for expedited processing. It's also going to cost an additional $60. So if you need your passport, leave yourself plenty of time. Leave yourself plenty of time on that. Anybody need a new passport?
No, not for another 2
No.
years.
Me too. Just so in case you're listening out there, take care of your passport now. So I guess the big story of the week of all of them is they found, a 10-cent bag of cocaine at the White House. And they can't figure out how it got there.
Hunter.
The Russians did it.
The Russians did it. The Russians. Hey, did you hear about this new story about this guy who's working for the Chinese, and he's in Iran, and now he's the star witness for the committee investigating Hunter Biden. Basically, he's now a fugitive on the run. This guy, and he's wanted by the FBI. And he was arrested, and he took off, and now he's a fugitive on the run. And they say now that he's a foreign agent working for the Chinese and selling illegal oil to Iran and weapons. So go figure. Go figure.
Yeah, it's a little convenient. We'll have to see how accurate that is.
Well, we will. I mean, absolutely, we will. I mean, it's so, like now everything is debatable. Everything's an opinion. There's nothing as a fact anymore. It just seems that, that old line, and I don't really know who said it first, but I know that I heard it with Richard Pryor. That's the first person I ever heard saying it. And he was talking about that if you ever are in a relationship and your significant other walks in on you while you're having sex with another woman, you got to deny it. And the way he says it is that you look her right in the eye and say, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And that's what it is today. I mean, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Because basically you don't know what the truth is anymore. And as deep fakes start to permeate our society, how are you going to believe anything? How can you believe anything?
Right. Agreed.
Well, then that's it. I have nothing more to say. Does anybody have anything that they do want to say? Does anybody have anything that's worthy of talking about right now? And if not,
You still have 6 hours of Amazon Prime, West Coast.
The Boring Company is almost finished with the new phase of the Vegas Loop connecting Las Vegas resorts to the convention center in Las Vegas. Well, it's almost complete.
From where to where? I don't know.
From Wynn to the convention center.
Wynn. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the station will be located near the Encore Valet entrance. and then it'll travel from the wind resort to the convention. They say about a minute.
Now,
That's-
now, am I correct in saying that you don't drive your car? These cars are all Tesla cars in this tunnel? That
In the loop.
basically-
Well, the initial thing was for them to be auto drive, but they do have a person in the auto drive seat driving or managing it when you get in them. So you're not in there by yourself or in a car that just totally is autonomous.
Yeah,
But it's not your car. It's not your car that you're in.
no.
No, it's Teslas.
I took it in the CES show this year. When you're over at the new convention center, the one that's behind the Riviera, that's at street level, and the cars just keep pulling up and with a driver in them. And you just get in, 3 people per car because of the driver, and then
Yes.
it goes around. Then it goes underground right there, and it shows up underneath the convention center. You drive for about a quarter of a mile, so it's pretty cool.
And what do they charge for that?
Oh, it's free.
It's free right now.
Interesting.
Shuttle between point A and point B in the convention center.
Now, is that going to interface with the monorail here in Las Vegas?
No, it's totally separate.
It's underground.
It's underground.
So basically, when you get on this road, so in other words, if you take the monorail, you can't, there's no connecting.
No, because the monorail is above ground. The Tesla loop is underground.
So you got 2 levels to get to.
Yes.
Above
And
to-
they've approved 18 new stations, about 25 miles of tunnels for the Vegas loop to expand as far south as Las Vegas Boulevard and Blue Diamond.
Wow. So Elon Musk is going to be making a ton of money here in Vegas for a long time to come.
That's the plan.
yeah.
What he's doing best is his charging system is now going to be used by GM and several other major automakers. They're going to adapt his charging system.
Yeah, which sucks for the Tesla drivers because they're really uppity and they don't like other cars sitting in because they don't know the program of when you pull up to a Tesla supercharger. A lot of them are very lazy. They want to sit there. They're not courteous when the lines are long. So we'll see how this works.
Now you have some, doesn't one of your relatives drive a Tesla?
Yeah, 3 of them.
And how long does it take to charge the Tesla?
It just depends. On a supercharger, it's like less than 30 minutes. It's very quick. If you're charging from home without a Tesla battery at home, then it's going to take like your 8 hours to fully charge it. And then on a regular Tesla charger, it may take an hour to charge half. So that would be 2 hours to charge the full thing or less.
And a lot of the new housings, I have a friend that works in construction, and I went on a job site with him for a couple of weeks to do some work. And I walked into a house and they're running 200 amp service in the house. I said, well, that's kind of high, for a house. He goes, no, he goes, now 200 amp services for houses for new houses that are standard because they want 100 amps separate just for putting in the charging station. So a lot of these electric car chargers need at least 100 amp service. So a lot of your new houses that are being built are coming standard with 200 amp service with a docking port to hook up a 100 amp charging service.
Right. And what they're doing in Vegas now, from my understanding from the guy who comes here and does all the electrical, they have to add in the kitchen at least 2 more what are those circuits that have the called with the red button and the black button?
Oh, GFIs.
GFI.
Yes. You have to add more of those now in the kitchen. Before you could have 1, but we have to add 3 more or something like that.
Yeah,
Because of all the connected appliances and the different appliances that you use.
Yeah, and up by me in Wisconsin, during the summertime it's nice, but in the wintertime, if you have an electric car, I have a friend who had one, they got rid of it. But when it's cold outside, that freezing cold drains the battery, and if you try to charge it up, it takes. In the cold, it takes 3 times longer to charge it in cold weather up here in Wisconsin when we have snow in the cold. Takes 3 to
Oh,
4
yeah.
times longer to charge it.
I saw
And
the
they said-
news last winter. It's terrible. Teslas or electric cars shouldn't be in the cold weather or rainy
No.
weather for that matter.
It's up here. It's like, okay, I talk to people like, why, they're building all these charging ports in our area, but it's just like in the wintertime, we have a Tesla charging station in Sheboygan, which is about 10 minutes from my house. And I've seen people in the wintertime sit there for a good 4 hours that would only sit there for 15 minutes to get a quick, to get a boost charge. They sit there for 4 hours to charge their car because of the cold.
But we
There's
don't
a
have that
couple of
problem here in
homeowners-
Vegas.
There's a couple of homeowners in my subdivision that have Tesla chargers, and they're offering it to neighbors for a fee. There's another way.
Hey,
to
might as well make money. Hey, if you
Yeah.
can make money, make money.
Yeah,
Do they have solar powered homes too?
I don't know.
Because
But
that
you
would
got
make
the
sense.
Tesla charger, wall charger.
Yeah, in my old neighborhood, I had neighbors that were doing that from the other houses. They were running wires from their other house to run their own electricity.
Man.
I know my neighbors about 4 houses down, they have electric Volvos, and they charge all their trucks from outside. But I wonder how they're going to manage that during the summer right now, because it's about to be over 110, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 this weekend.
I tell you, it is amazing. Speaking of the temperature, is like when you go outside, the difference between 103 and 104 is amazing. It's hard to believe that 1 degree at that level would become overbearing. But basically, when it's that hot, all of a sudden you feel yourself burning when you're in the sun. Whereas 103, it's you feel warm. But when it's 104 or above, it feels like you're an ant under a magnifying glass, and the sun is just being focused on your shoulder.
Yeah, that's
It's
why it
crazy.
annoys me when I see parents walking their kids along the strip with no water. Nothing cool. They just leave them in the sun just because they're not walking themselves. They're being pushed, and they have no water, and they're in the sun.
Oh
It's
man!
ridiculous.
Or
It reminds me when you're talking about the degree, 1 temperature degree. I was watching a video. My buddy sent to me. The guy died, but his name was John Panetti, and he's saying how he's doing a show in Vegas. He goes, no, it's 110, but when it's 115, it might be the temperature of the sun, because anything over 110 is the temperature of the sun. And he goes, why would you do that?
Well, I see you made it home, so that's a good thing. You made it home, either that or that you're driving your car with virtual reality behind you.
No,
I don't know.
No, I
Things
made
that
it.
look-
I made it home, and I'm in my basement now doing some work.
All right, well, we'll let you go. I think we'll let everybody go right now. We'll just
Oh,
remember.
still good.
Just remember, though, I'm done.
All right, just one more thing. I just read the article about the guy in Las Vegas in the hotel room.
Yeah,
He and the woman were doing a ton of drugs, and they were friends together. They had an on and off again sexual relationship, and he just flipped, and she was afraid he was going to kill her. So he didn't grab some woman and put her in the room. The two of them were really high together. That's all.
did you see the story about the little 2-year-old boy who shot himself in the head
Oh,
No,
God.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that. Where was that?
out here in Vegas?
Well, come
I
to
don't know, on
Vegas, the
Sunday.
wild, wild west. That's it. We're inviting you out. It's the wild, wild west. If you like to gamble, whatever you like to do, you can do it here. And if you're a 2-year-old, be very careful about that. Anyway,
We got Ken Porter entering the room here.
Just in time to say hello. I must be going.
yes. There he is, ladies and gentlemen,
Woody,
children of all ages.
we're still live streaming, huh?
Well, we're still live streaming for another minute, but if you don't want to live stream, I'm about to shut it off.
Does
Up
there-
to you. You have anything you
So-
want to say to the world?
Well, the big question in the summary is, have we talked about Ken Forsythe tonight?
No.
He passed away the other day.
All right. Well, let's tell
Really?
people who don't know who Ken Forsythe is. He started a company called EAW, which for years and years and years was the speaker manufacturer of rock and roll. I mean, everybody used EAW.
He's been Acoustic Works.
Eastern Acoustic Works. That's right. I went to their
Oh,
factory.
what?
really cool. Hey, I have something to show you. This is I keep
Cleaning out
this on my
your,
desk.
cleaning out your desk.
No, I use it all the time. I keep it to remind myself of you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other good news you want to share?
Hey, Ken, how old was EW?
79.
Natural causes
Well, he
or was
lived a good life. He lived a good life. He lived a long life. Does anybody know what he passed of?
Don't know. Somebody told me they saw him, had dinner with him at Infocom, and they said he fell at some point. Infocom was in the hospital for a couple of days, but he's back home and thought he was doing better. And then the other day, he passed, so nobody really knows what it's from yet.
Well, next week we'll find out and we'll report back on it.
The other one that's weird is in all the, usually you see stuff about all the things going on. Have you seen anything yet on the Tabinski that died in Chicago at the race? Or what
No.
he was electrocuted, how he was electrocuted?
No, but I just heard about some other people being electrocuted in New York thanks to the rains. I just heard about that. So it's not an unusual thing for people to get electrocuted when they're dealing with high voltage power and also not being grounded correctly with water problems. So it is a challenge.
Well, that happened last week. I was doing a show on the 4th, and I was leaning over. I had my knee on the ground. I had a rack on the stage and a knee on the ground, and the ground was grass, which was a little wet. And I put my hand on the rack, which was metal, and boy, did I get a shock! And I was like, "What the heck?" And we found out the power source that they had given us wasn't 100% grounded. So yeah, it was not a. I mean, and I asked them, I said, "Can you fix it?" And they said, "Well, we don't have time to fix it. You just have to run with it."
Yeah, well, don't put your mouth on the microphone. That's all I could say. You know, that's
Oh
it.
no,
That's it.
there's only one vocal mic, and that was a wireless mic, and everything else was just like overhead hanging ceiling mic type deal.
That was one of the worst shocks I ever had, man. You know.
Well, my
That was-
hair on my arm stood up a little bit, so I mean, I got a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, well, it's shocking just to see you. That's all I could say. That's it.
Oh, okay, I got one tonight, Jan. If we're gonna end, I have a really good joke.
All right, very good, very good. Tina, put your hand on the panic button. Go ahead.
Okay, so little Johnny's in school, and he comes home and he's telling his dad. He goes, "Dad, you know, the teacher today at school was talking to us and said, you know what we were addicted to." And little Susie said, "Well, I'm addicted to chocolate." And the teacher is like, "Well, you know, you shouldn't be addicted to so much chocolate." And little Richard is like, "You know, I'm addicted to just sugar. I just eat pure sugar." And the teacher's like, "Well, you know, that's really not good for you." And little Johnny goes, "Well, teacher, I used to be addicted to soap, but now I'm clean."
Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. If you've never heard it before, that's all I can say.
Well, I heard one the other day too, is how can you tell if there's a male or female ant, what's the difference?
Don't know.
You put them in a glass of water, drop them in, and the one that sinks to the bottom is the female, and the one that floats on top is the boy ant.
Oh, it's the buoyant. Well, with that in mind, all right, you know.
Time to get off.
Time to say good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Just remember, everything you heard today was an opinion, so do your own research. Next week will be 165th show. I hope we're going to invite some more people in from all over the world that have come before to celebrate our 165th anniversary. How many years is that? What is that in years?
We've been doing this since COVID, so it's been 3 years.
Unbelievable. Well, this longevity thing has really got to me. I love it. Anyway, you know, if I had a choice of doing anything or doing this for a living, this is what I would do for a living. But unfortunately, I'm not making any money out of this. So the government would just say this is a hobby. So thanks for joining me on my hobby. Anyway, you make it happen. We'll talk to you again real soon. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for watching. And, you know, if you want to be on the panel, just DM me any way you can, send an email, any way you can reach me. I'll put you an invite out to you so that you can join us. Remember to give it the thumbs up. If you're in the show, tag yourself. And with that in mind, have a great week, and we will see you again next time on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. Until then, you make it happen. Stay safe and healthy, everybody. Bye now.